The show this morning. I am back. This is the Caffeinated Cooper Show. I'm your host, Elizabeth Cooper. And this morning I have a very, very interesting lady. Her name is Stardust Roberts Matherne. And she will be singing for us this morning. She has 20 plus years of formal classical vocal talent and training underneath her belt. She's an actress, she's a mother, and she's also writing a book, which is a very, very interesting journey, a true story about her life. And we would love to welcome Stardust Roberts Matherne to the broadcast with us so that she could tell us about her journey. Good morning, Stardust. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing really, really well. I was just telling everybody that you are writing a book, you are an actress, you are a mother, and you have 20 plus years of vocal training behind you.
Yes, most definitely. I've been doing this since I was around 4 years old. So it's been a long time.
Wow. What was your favorite song to sing as a young girl?
Oh my goodness. Well, this is kind of going along with what I'm singing this morning. I love Judy Garland. I mean, pretty much all of the singers from, like 1920s and even dating back into further time. I just love all of the old, the old singers that were around and, I don't know, there's just something about that old Broadway that just brings it home for me.
Oh my goodness, I cannot wait to hear you. What are you going to be singing for us this morning?
Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Oh, I love Over the Rainbow. Well, I will be quiet here. I'm going to enlarge you so we all have a beautiful picture of you, and take it away when you're ready.
Sounds good, Elizabeth. Way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies of blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. Birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, why can't
Oh my. Oh my goodness. Your voice is magic.
I?
I'm speechless. I've got to get my brain working again so I can think of questions to ask you. That was phenomenal.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's. I usually don't sing this early. However, it's just one of those songs that just gets you up and going in the morning. And I just love everything about Judy Garland. She's just an amazing artist. She was an amazing artist.
Yes. Yes, she truly was. I have to say, as much as I love Judy Garland, I love that version. I will be going back to my own broadcast and listening to that so many times.
Thank you.
Wow, you have so much depth and feeling within your song. You're just an amazing artist. I'm already blown away, and we have so many different points to get to. And let me do a little segue here. We have a couple of people, speaking of morning, we have Michael Schwartz on here saying good morning. John Neely, have a great day. We have a mutual friend here, Glam.
Hello, Glam.
So we are already waking up several people. Where are you broadcasting from this morning?
Prairieville, Louisiana.
Louisiana. So do you sing anywhere in Louisiana, or tell us a little bit more about your singing before we get on to other topics?
Well, I currently I sing at church. I do a lot of church. We just performed our music program for the Christmas season, and we actually, my husband played for me on that one. And you know, it was just really nice to get up there with him and do that. And then also, I've done some musical theater in the past as well in Louisiana.
Wow.
I sing for funerals and weddings as well.
Do you have any plans, or would you consider future plans to put things in recording so that we could access them on iTunes or Spotify or anything like that?
Actually, I'm in the process of that. We do have a home music studio that we record from. So I am going to be putting some things in recordings and just gathering up different songs that I sing and, you know, just really putting some stuff out there.
Oh, that is amazing. I'm typing this up here. Music releasing soon. Tell us a little bit more about how we can find that. How can we search for it?
Well, you know, just one of the biggest things is Googling my name. You know, I'm sure that there's some things out there. I did do some things with Baton Rouge Community College whenever I went there with BRCC. I was in the jazz ensemble there as well as the gospel choir. You know, we used to perform for different downtown Baton Rouge events. So there are some things for me online. As far as recent, that's, you know, once we make those CDs and we start pushing that out there and putting it online, there's going to be a lot more access for that.
Oh, that is fabulous. Well, congratulations on that. Like I said before, your voice is absolute magic. It's captivating. Everything, all the feelings that you have in there. I love it. I'm absolutely in love at this moment. And I do want to move on to another subject, if we may. You are writing a book, and you have quite an interesting journey here. And I'm popping up a picture that I'm sure you're going to recognize. And this is your Facebook profile for the journey that you're about to tell us, and it's called A Daughter's Journey.
It is, yes. I had, growing up, I never knew who my father was. I, you know, of course, had my mom, my stepfather, and I just never knew who he was. I was born in San Jose, California in 1976. My mom left when I was 6 months old, and I had never seen my dad again. So, you know, now all of these years later, I had, you know, found out when I was actually, whenever I was a teenager, I had found out that I have a real father, seeing my birth certificate, and I had been researching and trying to find him all my life. And in 2000, I believe this was in 2009, I had finally located him. However, he was deceased at that time. And something amazing opened up after that, this connection on Facebook in memory of Friends in the Mab. And I connected on that. They all sent me an invite for that group. Amazingly, he has thousands of followers and people that know him. He's been in publications around the world. for the San Francisco punk rock scene. And he has a stage name. So, all this time I had thought, okay, well, he's David Scott Roberts. And that's how I was researching him. And amazingly, he has a stage name of Dave Venkett. So that turned into, I guess that's where the turning point was for my research to find him. And all of his friends in San Francisco and New York City, across the globe, they just started reaching out on Facebook. It's that power of social media.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just, I cannot even tell you how thankful I am that all these people reached out. And just to know that how easy he was to find once I had all of the information that I needed.
Wow. And I'm going to pop a picture up here that I had up just a second ago. This is a picture of your father.
It is, yes.
Dave Vacant and the Mab. So that was the group that he was with in San Francisco.
Yes, they call him the Mab. They used to play at Mabuhay Gardens, I believe I'm pronouncing it right, in San Francisco, and he basically he played guitar, he played a little drums back in the day, and he was involved in this major network of San Francisco punk, and they just had like this huge connection. It's just remarkable. I mean, just to know how many people knew him and how many people have come forward to tell me all of these stories about my father. And he's just so remembered to this day. Like they all come forward and tell me all these stories and how much they miss him and just what just everything that he brought to their lives and all these memories that they have of him. It's just a remarkable process. It really is.
What was your feeling after doing research after research to look up his formal name, to then find out that he had a stage name, to then find out that he was known as, totally different name. And then you found out he had already passed away. Tell us what that moment was like, please.
It was a very emotional time, of course, but at the same time, it was a turning point. It was one of those things where it was almost like overwhelming for me just to know, like, I guess just to know how close I was to finding him. That all that it really took is knowing that he has this group of people that he's connected, that he was connected with, that had all of his stories, and just to know that, like once I knew that his stage name was Dave Venkett, that changed everything. I looked up Dave Venkett, and put in punk rock 1970s, in Google, and it just brought up all of these magazine articles that he's been in. I started seeing other pictures of him across the internet. And just, when his friends came forward from this group, that's whenever it changed everything for me. And that's actually when I began to write the book. Now that I'm putting the pieces together and I'm able to just know, who my father was through his friends that still adore him to this day.
Knowing what you know now from the stories that you've heard from his friends and from the description of who he was and how he was, do you think that it would have been a good reunion between you and him?
I really do believe so. He's just a remarkable man. Listening to all the stories, they always tell, every story tells me he's so kind. He was so kind and considerate of everyone. He was just the nicest person in the world, would give the shirt off of his back for anyone. And of course, back in the day, and especially when you're involved, in certain movements throughout life, that of course, at some point, things didn't always go as planned. I know that, he had passed away from, over drinking and just, years of drug use. However, in the book, that's not I'm leaving that out,
Mm.
focusing on all of the positive things that my father has carried in his life. And, and just to know his walk of life, all of his friends coming forward, especially when his name is Sid Terror. And his friend Sid is just an amazing man. This man has come forward so many times, has sent me pictures about my father, and and just has just really been there to help me to get to know him. Another one is Linda, and I cannot pronounce her last name, but she is a remarkable source as well, and it's just been amazing the whole thing. I mean, and I can't even be thankful enough, but it has really brought me forward into what I'm doing now with writing the book.
And you were raised by your mother.
I was.
Did your mother have any information that helped you to be able to find your father? Or was all of his success really after his relationship with your mother?
My mom, she has helped me along the way, with that. It's kind of a complicated story. It kind of dates back, but like as I said, like I didn't find out until I was a teenager, and I think in some way, she didn't want me to really know, in some way because she had reshaped her life and she had moved on, and so I think she was getting me to move on with her. However, when I seen my birth certificate and I saw his name on there, obviously, that I knew that there was more to this than just where I was at the time. And so after that, she was very receptive to it. She helped me along the way to be able to discover different things. She told me a lot about my father, and she actually helped research him before she passed away. So, it's just one of those things. She was very supportive after the fact, and I thank her for that. And she actually, it's amazing, in her box of stuff that she left behind for me, in there is the divorce certificate to my father that has his name on it. And also on the birth certificate, it says David Scott Roberts. So, I've had those to go based off of, and also his Social Security that was on the birth certificate. So that really helped, that at least my mom kept those things and I was able to have something to research off of.
We have a question that popped up here from William Glenn Russell, and he's asking, how old was she when he died? And however, you had just mentioned that within your research as an adult, you found out that he had already passed away. So I guess there's twofold in my thinking here to this question. We appreciate the question, William. Thank you very much. So here's what I would like to expand on that. How old were you when you and your mother left your father? How old were you when he passed away? And then how old were you when you found exactly, when he had passed away, when you finally found something with his Social Security number?
Well, I was 6 months old when she left. When she went her opposite way, and I haven't seen him since. And then we moved to Louisiana when I was 4. My mom remarried my stepfather, and then, my goodness, I believe I was 15 when I found my birth certificate. Was the first time that I actually really knew, that I had this whole other life, that I had this whole other life, I guess than what I figured that, because I thought my stepfather was my father, at first, but I never really looked like the family, so I just kind of, I knew that something was different. And then I found my birth certificate, and then that's whenever everything just kind of went into me doing this massive research for him. And it was, I believe, in 2009, I believe. I would have to go back on my research, but whenever I found out he had passed away.
Okay. Wow. When you were searching for I'm sorry?
Oh, I can't remember how old I was then. I'm 41 now, so in 2009 is whenever I found out.
Mid-30s. Yeah. You and I are pretty much the same age. So mid 30s. So when you were 15 and you felt like something was a little bit off, or did you? Is that why you went and searched for your birth certificate, or did you just ask your mother for your birth certificate? Did you do it in secret?
Actually, yes, I did. Which I can say that now. I wouldn't have admitted it then, but yes, I felt like something was off. I had never really, I guess, looked like the family that I was with. I had resemblance of my mother. However, I did not have resemblance of my stepfather or his family. And I was always told that this was my real family, and so that is what, that's what I thought along the way until I found out different. So it was kind of some disheartening moments and some eye-opening moments. However, I took it and I ran with it in a positive way. I was like, okay, well now this is my time to put together the pieces of my life that I felt were missing. Because like I said, I've always wondered, why do I not look like this family, or why do I not, like have resemblance of any kind. And then when I saw a birth certificate, that just, I cannot even tell you, it just changed my life. It really did, and it made me. It made me, I'm thankful for the family that I have, for my step family. They are remarkable and amazing. However, I have to tell you what it feels like to just finally find my real father and to be able to move forward in that and just see where I come from, because I don't know, like, I still am researching a lot of different things. Like, I don't know, like, my grandparents on his side, or, any of the rest of his family. So there's a lot of missing gaps there. And then, of course, I have a brother that I'm looking for as well that was born before I was. And that's going to be in the next book, actually. Once I'm able to locate my brother and move in that direction.
Is there anything that you would, well, before, I want to go on to your brother in just a minute, but before we do that, I pulled up this picture and I put it here, and you were talking about resemblance. And look at this resemblance. This is a picture of your father and you.
Yeah, it's, when I seen the pictures, whenever we had, my husband actually put those up and put them together for me, and I can tell you, I mean, it's just, just our jaw lines. I noticed, like, in the eyes, there's just so much resemblance all the way around, and it's just remarkable. I mean, when I seen his pictures, I can't even explain it to you. I'm like, oh my goodness, there's no mistaking that's my father. Um, and then the other portion to that story is as well. When I had located him and I found out that he was deceased, I actually called. Actually, I'll kind of back up. When I found out he was deceased, when I put in his social security number online on Death Index, it had actually pulled up his last known address, which was in Portland, Oregon. And so anyway, I called the morgue there in Portland. And amazingly, the first one that I called was the morgue that he was that he was sent to when he passed away in his apartment.
Wow.
That morgue, I cannot remember who I spoke to that day, but they were just amazing group of people there. They actually gave me, I guess that, they believed who I was. I was crying. I finally found my father. No matter if he was deceased, it was just a, like I said, a turning point in my life. And they gave me the phone number of his last known girlfriend. So I was able to contact her, got on the phone with her, ended up having the most amazing conversation. She told me all about how my father was looking for me too, that, he had been looking for me all these years. She actually sent pictures to me and sent me a letter of, like, recent pictures of my father. She wrote me just this beautiful letter. It was just amazing, just an amazing connection. And then from that point, they had given me the information, the Skyland Memorial, where my dad's ashes are located. So So yeah, it's just an amazing process that took place, and it's just I can't even say enough words. It's hard to put into words sometimes. Just an overwhelming feeling of wow, now this is who he is, and and this is the life he led, and and like I said, I'm just looking at all the positive aspects of the life that he led, and and just the positive aspects coming from a daughter's journey of what it took to find my father, and helping others to find their, to I guess to realize that others that are looking for their loved ones, that sometimes you don't have to search as far as you think you do. That sometimes it can be right under your nose and you may not even know it.
Wow. I bet that letter served as a little bit of closure, didn't it?
It really did. It did. And it really brought it home for me just to know that, that he was searching for me as well, for her to relate that to me. And she had always told me, he talked about his daughter Stardust, and, that he always wondered where I was. And she said before he passed away, he really talked about it a lot, how he wished that he could have found me. And, it's just a very emotional time with that, and it's just remarkable.
She say, did he ever mention anything about your brother who was born before you?
No, no, as far as I know, he was put up for adoption. So I'm not quite sure the nature on that exactly. It was in 1974 in Austin, Texas. My mother gave birth when they were traveling through, and they had just decided to put him up for adoption. So I'm not quite sure why he was never mentioned, or or anything about that. But I
Were
am
they
searching for him.
were they very young when they had him?
Yes, yes, because my mom, he was 25 when I was born, and my mother was 21.
Oh,
So and they were pretty young. And he was born 2 years before I was. So yeah.
do you have any idea of what his name may be?
I know he was born as Ozzy Roberts at birth, but I'm not quite sure, because I know when people get adopted, sometimes those names change.
Mhm.
So, I'm not sure if he still goes by Ozzy, or where he's located. So,
But it would still show on his birth certificate, correct? So even if he was adopted and then his name changed to his family name, his birth certificate, there's still a man out there somewhere that has the name Ozzy Roberts on his birth certificate.
exactly. And I tell you, I've reached out to the Austin, Texas adoption home, and they did tell me that they located something, on him. However, they can't, because of liability reasons, and and just because it's over the phone, they really could not give me much information. So that was very promising. However, I would literally have to go there, or figure that part out. They're going to have identification, and a lot of factors that go along with that, being that they're an adoption agency. Um, so, I'm currently looking into that and just seeing what I can find out. That's going to be coming up next too, especially after I write this book, and finish writing this. I want to go ahead and just, move forward with that, and really reach out there and find my birth brother, my real brother. And so, there's a lot of research still left to do. And then there's research on the opposite end of it. I want to know, who were my father's parents? Are they still alive? What is my family line? What's the family history there? There's a lot of broken pieces along the way. However, it's amazing how much it's come together already.
How old would your brother be today?
Well, he's 2 years older than I am, so depending on when he was born, I believe he should be about 43 or 44.
I'll put that up there.
Kind of depends on when he was born. I'll be 42 this year, so he's just kind of depends.
Yeah, 43, 44. Okay, I'm going to put his name up here. While his name is up here, because this is a very unique name.
Yes, yes. And I mean, they, being hippies, I guess like the hippie movement back in the day, which is kind of me now. I'm very much, very much the same in a lot of ways. But you know, they named him Ozzy, and then of course me Stardust. And they named me off of Ziggy Stardust is what it is. And so it's just an amazing thing, the names that they've come up with. But yeah, they definitely, I really love that they made the choice on my name as well. Growing up, I really didn't like it too much, of course. Kids tease. However, now it just really fits, and I think it's a really great thing. Where their minds were then. They just had so much unique creativity, and I just really love it.
If someone happens to be watching, or possibly they'll watch this after we are no longer live, and they say, oh my gosh, I know this guy, and he just told us a story about his birth name. His name is Ozzy. I wonder if this is the guy. What would you say to your brother if he happens to watch this video?
Oh wow, that's that's a hard one. I would if my brother was to watch this video, I would just want him to know that I have been just searching for years since I found out that I have a brother. I found out when I was a teenager. My mom came clean and she told me once I found my birth certificate. And, the one thing that I can say is that, I just, even though I've never met my brother, I love my brother. Even though I've never met him, I love the idea of oh my goodness, I have my brother out there somewhere in this world. He is. And I just cannot wait to meet him. I cannot wait to just wrap my arms around him and give him a big old hug, and just have the brother that I never was able to have, and just be able to share the stories of our father, our dad, and I'm not sure if he's looking for him either or not, but yeah, just I would just love to be able to connect and get to know each other, and just go on this journey together.
Wow. Do you know if your parents had, or, well, I guess not your parents. If your mother left when you were 6 months old, then you and your brother would be the only blood relation siblings. But did your father have any more children after your mother and he split?
I'm so glad you asked that. Yes, a dear friend of mine, actually, she is in the Friends of the Mab group online, in memory of Friends of the Mab, and her name is Rafaela Wolf. We're connected on Facebook. She has reached out so many times, and I've reached out to her. She has a daughter that is his daughter. And it is just the most amazing. I mean, um, just to know that I have a half sister out there,
Mm-hmm.
remarkable. So yes, the lady's name that I connect with, a dear friend of mine, Rafaela Wolf, and her daughter's last name is Roberts as well. It's Leela Roberts. I believe I'm pronouncing her first name right. So it's just an amazing experience. And I'm not sure if he has any other children besides my brother and her. I'm not quite sure on that connection yet. I'm still doing some massive research.
Have you connected with your half sister yet?
I have not. Um, there's some reasons behind that that I can't share on here, unfortunately. Um, but Rafaela has already told her that she has a half sister. I don't think that she's looking for her father at this time. I could be wrong on that, but I believe that she's not doing the expansive research like I am. However, it's just I cannot wait to meet her one day. I just want to meet her and just and hopefully, whenever we meet, we can discuss the same, the same interest.
How would you feel if one day in the future you did meet with her, or you met with someone else that happened to say, yes, he's also my father, and they had some not very nice things to say about him? Would that change how you feel about your father?
Actually, no, not at all. You know, just because my mom, when she was still with us, um, she gave me all the information, that my father, doing drugs and and maybe some abuse that came along the way, through doing drugs. However, when he wasn't on drugs, he was just the most nicest guy on the earth, on earth, and he would have done anything for anyone. Always had a kind spirit, always just always giving and caring to other people. And so, I listen to anything that comes my way as far as like any of the bad points in his life. However, I'm more focused on the good things that he's done in his life. And so it wouldn't really change my concept on my father or on my research or the way that things are going along in the book. Um, for me, I'm looking at all the positive aspects of the life that he led. So that's really where I'm steering in that direction with that.
And I love what you said there. I think I would feel the same way. A daughter's love is a daughter's love. And we as women need a strong male figure. And we also, if we don't have that within our birth father, and I'm speaking hypothetically because my father has been involved in my life, so I don't know this 100% sure. But I would say that you're still very, very connected to who your birth parents are, no matter if they raised you or not. And I see it to be so beautiful that you found out all these things about really genetically what fills you.
Exactly.
And you have chosen a very clean lifestyle. Tell us about that choice. And did you choose that before you knew maybe a very colorful past of your father? And I don't know if your mother was also involved there while she was with him.
Well, yes. Growing up, I didn't necessarily have, like I guess you could say, my mother always prayed with me, and she told me she loved me every single day, and so, but I also grew up in a home where, it's there were some drugs going on and some other things going on as well that I'm unable to mention on here, of course. But it's one of those things where I always told myself ever since I was a young child that whenever I get older, and I have my own children, that I'm going to be educated, um, and be able to help my kids with homework and stay away from drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, all those things. I told myself, I said, like we're the example for our children. And I can remember being a teenager and just, and really, I guess that's whenever I started forming and making my life path into what I wanted it to be. And so I pretty much knew early on. I've always had an old soul in me. I've always, I've learned from watching my parents what to do and what not to do. And in that light, I have to tell you, I mean, that there were many wonderful moments as well, at home. And so I don't want to focus just on the negative standpoints. However, from I guess like in the things that were negative in the home, I took that and I turned them around. And I started, like I said, I started paving my path. I started walking in the way that I needed to walk, not only for myself to start early on, but for the family, of course, that I have now. And so I'm a really firm believer that that you can shape your own life. Like you don't have to be a product, or you don't have to grow up in all the ways that you're raised. If there is something If there is a negative aspect in your home, you don't have to turn out like that. You're your own person. We're our own, we only get this one life, so we have to make the best of it. And we have to, just move forward, and just be that positive attribute to the world and to our families. So that's kind of where that's where I went with it. And I just, like, I don't know, it just put me on the path to where I am now.
I think it's absolutely beautiful, and I agree with you. We're not supposed to just cycle, the same stuff over and over. And just because your parents do have a torrid past doesn't mean that you are to do the same thing. And unfortunately, that happens. And when people talk about abuse within the home, that the children see that, it's during those formative years. And then what you see and you feel in your formative years, for a lot of people, that's what gives you the warm and fuzzies. That's what makes you feel comfortable, and you gravitate towards that, and then it becomes your past is your future, and your past is your future again and again and again. It's insane. And I really, really, my hat is off to you for choosing that lifestyle and committing to it. And look at you. You are a talented, you're a beautiful wife, beautiful mother, and this book is going to be phenomenal. The book will be releasing in 2018, right? Okay, so we're going to be on the lookout for A Daughter's Journey. And now we have more. As if that isn't enough. We have more. Look at this. This is your photography. You are a historical photojournalist. And this is New York City. What an amazing angle. The colors. I can't even guess what kind of camera or lens you used to take that. Would you mind telling me more about the shot?
Well, that shot, it's shot on the Canon EOS camera that we have. I'm currently upgrading to some new equipment. However, and we use Photoshop as well as Lightroom to do edits. But I can tell that was in New York City. I believe that's the one that you have pulled up there.
Times Square.
Yes, yep. That was. We went in July 2017 to New York. We went on our honeymoon there, and just took a bunch. I mean, we took so many pictures, and I just couldn't stop snapping pictures. It's just such a beautiful city there, and and with the photography, it really took like a journalistic, journey for me. It's with that, I just, what brings it home for me to do historic photojournalism is the buildings, the people, the life that we're surrounded with every day. That I love to hear people's stories. Everyone has a story. And a lot of times, like even when I shoot a historic building, there's stories in that wall. Some of those buildings have been around for decades, and the walls talk, in some way, and so it's just, I think it's people's stories mostly that just, I love to hear what walk of life they come from, and just write about it, journal about it, take their pictures, and anywhere from shooting historic buildings to shooting someone that maybe is sitting on a park bench, and just to stop in their day and say hello and hear, just to listen to where they come from, and what kind of life are they leading.
I'm going to pop myself down so that we can see more of this picture. Would you mind telling us about the day that you took this shot?
It's not coming up on the screen.
Okay, this one is shot in Louisiana, and I read about it yesterday. It is a library, but it is the first home in Louisiana, the first Black family home in Louisiana. Is that correct? I wish I could read the whole thing. Let me enlarge it. Okay, let's see. This is Charles River in Louisiana. And it's a beautiful piece. Same with the New York City shots here. We have Church of Our Lady of the Holy Rosary in New York, and your colors are absolutely gorgeous. Times Square, like this is my favorite. If you're able to see this at all, it's the shot of Times Square that we opened up with that you were telling us about. And you have so many more shots, but you are for hire as a historic photojournalist, correct?
Yes. Basically, I get invited to travel pretty much around the world, and I'm more or less travel locally just because time management on that. However, I am branching out globally. Um, but yeah, a lot of times I get hired to go to a bed and breakfast and shoot historically in a bed and breakfast, and I'm able to stay there, capture the surroundings for them, and then they can use the shots for social media or maybe a magazine publication. The other thing that I'm reaching out to as well is tourism around the state. I do a lot of tourism around here in Louisiana, across the state of Louisiana, and I'm also branching out into different states as well. I know whenever I went to New York and shooting different things around there, as I was posting these pictures, opportunities just started flowing in, to just return back to New York City, shooting this and shooting that, and getting invited to different photography events and things like that. So, that's kind of where that's heading as well. And I do a lot with historic preservation. Like in the city of Donaldsonville, Louisiana, that's where my historic photography first started. That city is just one remarkable city. They are currently just expanding and growing just beyond the scope. I work closely with Donaldsonville, Louisiana. I do a lot of historic work for them, a lot of historic events in the city that come up. And to be honest with you, it's like I get paid for it. However, it's a passion. So it's just amazing where it's going.
I absolutely love this. You have so many more shots on your Instagram profile, and Instagram defined you as historic underscore photojournalist. And I popped that up here on the screen so that everybody can find you. I'm enamored with your photography because I love architecture. And I would just love to see what you could do in European cities, possibly Amsterdam, where the architecture is so spectacular.
I cannot even tell you. I mean, if I that is just a dream of mine to be able to go to like something like Italy and France and even Ireland. Ireland is another place all in itself that I just could not imagine. Just taking the photography on that grand that grand of a scope and just going into just going overseas and going into these other countries and just really pouring this historic photojournalism into these places. There's so much depth there. Just between the people and their stories and just a remarkable history of hundreds of years that sit in these cities. Um, so from working locally here in Louisiana, in my hometown, to expanding globally now. I can't even tell you. I mean, it's just amazing what you come, with I guess like how much there is out there to really pour all of this into.
Yeah. You have one shot. I didn't grab it. I should have. But your shots are not just buildings. You also do subjects as well. And you have one scene where people are walking down a street in New York City, and there's a man holding his son's hand as they're walking. And it tells such a story. It sounds so simplistic.
Yeah, that particular shot actually, my husband and I walked behind them for so long. Like, I just was mesmerized at the fact that, here it is raining in New York City. It's pouring down rain. We're walking in the rain, and instead of going back to our hotel, like I had told my husband, I said, we just, for some reason, I just have to capture these people in front of us. And so I must have followed them for like a whole couple of blocks, and what really touched my heart was the fact that here's this father with his boy, all along the way he was helping him through the rainstorm, and he was, at some point holding his hand, he had his arm around him, and I just kept, there was just something in me that said, oh my goodness, what is their story exactly? Like how did they get to this point, or just to see that love poured into that. A father helping his son staying by his side, that even in rain and wind and cold weather conditions, no matter what it is, just to see how much that he can, that a father's love for his son, to see where that extends to. And I just had to capture it. And there was one expression on this girl's face that was walking by, if that's the one that you have pulled up. Just the look on her face, that sentiment, I guess that you could say that empathetic look on her face for the scene that she's seen as she was walking by. And that's where that's where the photojournalism part really takes place for me. Is, people's expressions, people's, just hearing what people have to, that they're, like I said, their stories. And so it's just amazing. Just when I went back and I was looking at that particular photo, it just, I don't even have words to put into it.
Wow. You are such a creative, talented, you have magnanimous woman. You have so much inside of you, and I think it would be most appropriate to close out the show on what you just said. This is a daughter's journey. You are a historic photojournalist. The one time I trip up on my words when I don't want to, right? And the shot we were just talking about is about a father's love and devotion and dedication as he walks his son down the street of New York City in the rain, tirelessly holding him under his wing. And I wish that you had that moment in the physical life with your father. But I know spiritually you do have that. And you have told us a beautiful story of a daughter's love and a father's love, and shared your voice with us, your heart. And I just want to say thank you. This has been probably the most beautiful interview I've done so far.
I enjoyed being on the show, and that's what really brings it home for me too. Even in that photo, I had a moment like that. I had that moment in me that, that's why I'm sentimental. That's part of why I'm sentimental the way I am, and why I care about family the way I do. And not only does God, instill that in me, however, it's that thing in me that says, I've never had this. Yet I enjoy watching others have it. And that's one of the things that I'll feature in the book as well. Is that it's I enjoy seeing others embrace their family. And I never was able to really do that with mine, as far as like with the life that I had before. However, with my own kids, I do, and with my husband, and with the life that I live now. And I enjoy seeing other people do the same. There's nothing like family.
Well, your husband and your children are very, very lucky to have a lady like you in their life.
Thank you.
And go give them a hug. Enjoy your day. Thank you so much, Stardust. I can't thank you enough, and I hope that you have a blessed and beautiful day today.
Thank you. I hope you do too.
Thank you so much. Oh, there he is. It's a no school day at the Matherne house, so enjoy it. Go play a game, guys.
We sure.
It goes so quickly.
All right. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye. Oh my goodness. This, here we go. Here I am on auto repeat. Oh my goodness, this is amazing. But it really was. That was so touching. And I appreciate everyone's comments. I'm going to go back here to some of the comments. Yes, William Glenn Russell, I don't know who you are, but thank you so much for watching because you have such great questions. You have so many amazing things to say. And thank you just for being a positive person that is willing to speak up and say some beautiful things. God bless her and all she does in life, and I pray she finds her brother. I pray that she finds her brother too. What an interesting story. So if you know Ozzy Roberts, there it is. I'm going to pop it up on the screen while I talk about him. If you know someone who has been adopted, and he was born under the name Ozzy Roberts. He was born in Texas and is about 43 years old. Please direct him to Stardust Roberts Matherne. That is your birth sister. And if you don't know about your father, she knows a whole lot about your birth father. She was raised by your birth mother. She's a wealth of information. So please, 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 please share this video because we are looking for a person. And that person is born under the name Ozzy Roberts. And he should be 43 years old, maybe 44, just turned 44 possibly. Born in Texas. That's all that we really know. If he looks anything like Stardust, he probably has, or his father, he probably has dark hair. And he's Caucasian. So if you know anybody that fits that description, please send him Stardust's way because that would be a family reunion for her. And I just love this girl. So please rewind it, rewatch this, and especially the song Over the Rainbow that she shared with us. That was so beautifully done. She is for hire. If you have a magazine, if you know of someone that has a magazine or works in tourism and travel, send them her way or send her their way because she takes phenomenal pictures. I mean, I want to pop this up here again. New York City is my heart. I'm a Jersey girl, all right? I was not born and raised in New York, and I know that. But New York City is my city. That is where we went to go see parades, and that is where my Christmas happens. And that is my formative years were spent in New York City. And look at Times Square. That is a gorgeous picture. And oh my goodness. Just her photojournalism, historic photojournalism is absolutely superb. So go check her out. Thank you everybody who is watching and listening. Glam, hello, how are you? I hope your midday out there in Scotland is doing really, really well. Robert, thank you so much for watching. And everyone, thank you for commenting. Keep the comments coming. I really appreciate it, and you certainly do help me. We've had a couple of interviews in the past 24 hours where people have had some really great questions, and I'm learning. I'm learning to be able to say, it's okay if I lose my eye line and I go down here to the questions, I look at them for a moment while someone's speaking, because your input really means a lot to these interviews. So anyway, this has been a very, very long-winded post-interview version to say goodbye. So I hope that you have a blessed, a fabulous day. You are a wonderful human being. Be a blessing to someone today and go enjoy your Friday. And I will see you next time. Mwah. Thank you for watching.